What's up? This is the Here We Go Show. Welcome to Q&A, the show where I take viewer questions and I answer them here on video format. We got a couple questions today. We're going to start with one from Twitter. So before I get to the question, we're going to give a little bit of context. So on Twitter, my man Steelers DB, Derek Bell, he posted a graphic. He posted a graphic talking about how the Steelers' interior of the line has been relatively solid. And my man Greg on Twitter said, we're looking at a first-round left tackle in April, aren't we? I think he was joking there, but, I reposted it. I just want to make it very clear. Nah, the plan is quarterback. Holding on to those picks rather than, I'm reading you the tweet. I said, no, the plan is quarterback. Holding on to those picks rather than getting a receiver is a strong sign the plan is quarterback in the draft. Remember, the Steelers had the opportunity to trade more than a 4 and a 6 for Jacoby Myers, for Rashid Shaheed, and they opted not to. I believe that's a sign that they are loading up for quarterback in the upcoming draft. I followed up that. I said, you can't keep ignoring the quarterback position to draft tackles upon tackles upon tackles upon tackles. You need to find an answer at the most important position in sports. Remember, the Steelers a couple years ago traded up, drafted Broderick Jones. 2 years ago, they drafted Troy Fautanu. The Troy Fautanu pick has been solid. The Broderick Jones pick has been iffy. My point is, it's a bad look to keep drafting tackle. It's gonna become stale at some point. You cannot keep ignoring quarterback because, oh my God, we need a tackle. No, you need to get a quarterback that can elevate the team around you. So that's what I told Greg, and Greg posed a very interesting question, one that I really liked. I told him that I'm going to make a video about this. Greg's question was, would you A, let Broderick Jones walk and hope he can sign a left tackle, or B, fire Pat Meyer and hope a different coach can fix Jones? So let's talk about my thoughts on Broderick Jones. I think Broderick Jones has slightly improved. You're not hearing his name as much, especially with an older quarterback. People are talking about Aaron Rodgers. Oh, that's why he's getting sacked. I'm kind of so-so on Broderick Jones. And with a left tackle that you traded up for in the first round, you never want to be so-so. You want to be like, yeah, this is our left tackle of the future. All right, so would I let Broderick Jones walk and hope I can sign a left tackle? Me personally, yes. I would let Broderick Jones walk. There are tackles in free agency. You can get left tackle. I know it's a coveted position, but right now the play that Broderick Jones is giving you, man, people are flying right past him. People are flying right past him, making Aaron uncomfortable in the pocket. So would I let Jones walk and hope he can sign a left tackle? Yes, absolutely let Jones walk. He's not the answer. He's not the future at the position. We're 8 weeks into year 4 now, and he still isn't figuring it out. Yeah, it's time to move on. Broderick Jones isn't the answer. Ride him out through the rest of the year. Let's find someone new. We got to find someone new to replace him, right? Zach Frazier was a second-round pick. Mason McCormick was a 4th-round pick. You can find answers in the draft. You can find answers. Now, left tackle is probably the most important of those 5 positions on the line, but the point is, you can find answers at those positions. And he says B, would you fire Pat Meyer and hope a different coach can fix Jones? So according to this, I have to pick between let Jones walk and sign a left tackle or fire Pat Meyer and hope a different coach could fix Jones. Why not both? Why not both? Pat Meyer signed on to be the Steelers offensive line coach back in 2020. I've never been a fan of the move. 2020 was when the show was still relatively new. And I said at the time, look, Pat Meyer didn't work out with the Chargers. Those offensive lines were terrible, failing to protect Phillip Rivers. Pat Meyer didn't work out with the Panthers, who he was the offensive line coach for over there. He's never worked out anywhere he's ever gone in the NFL. Why? What's suddenly going to change? Is he going to provide stability for the Steelers? What's going to happen? Pat Meyer hasn't worked out. The Steelers have failed to produce a good offensive line in his entire tenure here. So why is Pat Meyer still sticking around? He is not going to fix Broderick Jones. Congratulations, Troy Fautanu is a good tackle. Congratulations, Zach Frazier is a good tackle. Your job is to produce good offensive linemen and a good offensive line. Pittsburgh just has not done that. And it's unacceptable when you're trying to protect Big Ben, Aaron Rodgers, Happy Feet Kenny Pickett, Old Russ, Justin Fields, who can't read a defense. Justin Fields, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to let Justin Fields slide on this one. So, would I let Jones walk or would I fire Pat Meyer? I would do both. Broderick Jones needs to go. Pat Meyer needs to go. I'm done waiting for Broderick Jones to work out. He was solid in year one, and he's not been good. He's not been good. I'm ready to move on. It's an important position to find stability at, especially if Aaron's going to be your quarterback for the next year and a half. We need to find stability. Broderick Jones doesn't give you stability. He's been a little bit better than last year, but he doesn't give you that stability. Greg, thank you for your question. I hope you enjoyed listening to my answer for that if you're watching. We're going to hop over to the YouTube side of things. We got a long one here. From my boy, Matt, MRuley427. He says, bit of a long one here. I believe that what the Steelers need is what I've been saying they need for 5 years at this point. Tank and get high draft picks. But if there is anything that is shown over these last 5 years, it is that now I want a completely new everything. Everybody gone. Entire coaching staff. Everything. Trade everyone. Get as much as you can. He says, almost nobody is off the trade block. Maybe Warren, but that's it. Time for a fresh start. Fresh everything. New identity. And I know what everyone says. If you're going to get rid of Tomlin, who's going to replace him? Well, first of all, McVay and Shanahan pop up out of head coach like a McVay and Shanahan pop out head coach like a factory. So look at their OCs. And also, I see what he's saying. McVay and Shanahan pop out head coaches like it's a factory. Look at their OCs, offensive coordinators. Also, if anyone keeps up with the Packers, knowing that they might not even make the playoffs, know that a lot of their fans want LaFleur gone. I wouldn't mind him either. At this point, nobody is safe. I would even say Danny Smith and Khan too. If you look at DK, the DK trade in the contract, the GP, the Pickens trade, the Watt contract, PQ contract, waiting forever for Aaron Rodgers, some of the moves recently have not been great. I think he's overrated in the Steelers community, referring to Khan. Let me know what you think of this. To me, it's clear. New philosophy, new identity, trade everyone while we can get stuff for them. Only person I wouldn't is Warren, and that's because I think he can be really good. If he was in a scheme where he was utilized a lot, I think he could have a Saquon or JT-like season. And I'm not saying he's better than them, but I just think he can be a key player on a Super Bowl caliber offense. Anyway, this should have been done when Seven was retired. This is a wasted half decade of the fans' time. Time to let go. It's like a person hanging on to their toxic ex. P.S. Last time you read my comment, you gave me a placeholder name of Matt, and you found that funny because your name is actually Matt. See, what you don't know, Matt, is that I actually already knew your name. And that's because I'm what's called a stalker. No, I'm just kidding. That was just a random guess. So when I read your comment a few days ago, I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. This guy's name is Matt. So Matt, thank you for writing in. Let's talk about it. Let me tell you a little bit about me. When I was younger, a few years ago, I probably would have said the same thing. Jettison everybody. Get rid of everybody. You know, you change everything. It hasn't been working for the last 10 years. Change everything. I think the me a few years ago would have agreed with you. But I think the me now, a little bit older, a little bit wiser, got some gray in my beard, so that means the words I say have more meaning. I'm joking. I think there's not many situations where teams should tank. The Browns have been tanking for my entire life. How well has that worked out for them? And I think they've been even tanking without even realizing it. What tanking is what happens when ownership wants to get high draft capital. You tank by getting rid of all your talent. Tanking happens when ownership gets rid of all of the talent on a team. Tanking would look something like benching benching Jalen Hurts for Nate Sudfeld that one time. And that got Doug Peterson fired. Tanking looks like, what's an example? Going back and forth from Josh Rosen and Ryan Fitzpatrick a few years ago. How well has that worked out? right? How well has that worked out for them? The Jets are tanking right now. Do we think they're going to find a franchise quarterback in the upcoming years? I mean, they tanked for Sam Darnold. That didn't work out. I think the key to building a successful championship-winning program is remaining stable. Okay, now hear me out. Remaining stable, but being able to change with the times. What do I mean by that? The Steelers have the stability part down. You've got ownership that knows what they're doing in regards to maintaining a good business. The Steelers have remained one of the strongest football brands my entire life, my entire dad's life, and some of my grandpa's life. They've been stable. The Cowboys are a team that have remained stable as an organization. Not amazing, not awful, but stable. Good businesses that make a lot of money. What I think holds the Steelers back is making changes with the times. The Steelers ownership operates with a defensive mindset. The Steelers ownership believes running the ball, stopping the run is the key to winning Super Bowls. That might have been the key 20, 30 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, 67 years ago. It's not the key now. Who are the teams and what are the key characteristics of the teams that are winning Super Bowls nowadays? It's not defense. Yeah, the Eagles had a strong defense last year, but they didn't win because of the defense. The key to winning Super Bowls is explosive, creative, powerful offense. The key to winning Super Bowls, let's say it again, explosive, creative, elite offense. You better have a good defense, but we've seen what great defenses get you. The Steelers have the highest paid defense in the NFL for the last few years. Going on 8 years without a playoff win, so how strong is that? Do I think tanking would help the Steelers? Probably not. I don't think that would do any good. Yeah, you'll get a good quarterback. But what's going to happen? That quarterback's going to come into a garbage situation. That quarterback is going to come into, do you want that quarterback to be playing for the Browns? Because the Steelers will be as bad as the Browns if you tank for and get rid of all your talent. I think you want to set your team up for success by building strong teams, putting a quarterback in there and giving him the most weapons to succeed possible. I don't think you're going to do Fernando Mendoza any good if he comes into a team that has no TJ Watt, no Alex Highsmith, no DK Metcalf, let's see who's getting paid. No DK Metcalf, no Nick Herbig, no Patrick Queen, no Joey Porter. Are you actually doing that quarterback a favor? I don't believe you are. So when people say that the Steelers should totally blow everything up, remember, tanking comes from ownership. First of all, you'd have to convince this ownership, no, we don't like being 9-8 every year. Let's blow it up. You're never going to convince them of that, first of all. But let's say you do. Is Ty Simpson coming into a good situation? No, I think it'll more than likely blow up and fail in his face rather than giving him a stable situation that he can elevate. Look at, let's say the Eagles. How did the Eagles win a Super Bowl? They've been a good team that had elite quarterbacks step up and elevate that team to the promised land, right? Jalen Hurts took the Eagles to 2 Super Bowls, won one of them. Jalen Hurts was the perfect quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. That would not have worked if they didn't have an elite GM garnering talent and building a stable team for a quarterback to elevate. Let's look at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a perfect example of this. The Chiefs have been fine my whole life. They've been good with Alex Smith. They've been a really good football team with Alex Smith my entire life. But what happens? They go 1 and done, 2 and done in the playoffs every year. How did the Chiefs overcome that obstacle? They went and got an elite quarterback and surrounded him with fantastic talent. One of the best offensive minds we've ever seen, Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid. How many tanking teams actually won the Super Bowl in the recent past? Any of them? Have any of them won a Super Bowl in the recent past? I don't see that. So I don't believe jettisoning all the talent on the Steelers is going to help this team long term. With that being said, while I don't really believe in tanking, I do believe in changing with the times. I do believe getting rid of some players would be helpful. I do believe moving on from Mike Tomlin, moving on to a more offensive-minded culture would be extremely helpful for this team and whatever quarterback they're going to draft. I do believe paying another wide receiver will be extremely helpful for this team and whatever quarterback they do draft. I do believe paying up for a left tackle will be extremely helpful for this team and whatever quarterback they do draft. You notice how I'm not saying anything defense in there? You can get away with okay defense. You can't get away with okay offense. We saw that against the Seahawks. The offense was fine. Not good enough. I don't believe in tanking. I believe in making changes that align with the times. It is 2025. Can we move on from the defensive-minded mindset? I'm ready to move on from it. It's not working. No playoff wins in 8 years, 9 years. Let's get an offensive head coach. Even if it's Brian Daboll, this team would be a little bit more interesting than what the Steelers are now. Either it works really well or it blows up in our face, but they'd be more interesting than the mediocrity that the Steelers are giving you now. Fantastic business. A lot of fans that travel well. You're not winning any more Super Bowls with this defensive-minded philosophy. But, Matt, that was a great question. I loved reading it. Yeah, that was something. I'm just not a big tanking guy. I used to be. I believe stable organizations that get a quarterback to elevate that team is the best way to get to a Super Bowl. I don't think gutting all the talent is what works nowadays. But fantastic question. I loved reading it. Thank you for writing in. I look forward to hearing from you more, Matt. Let's get to the last question of the day. My man Stanton, he says, in general, do you think Mike Tomlin prefers one-score games? He thinks the other team will blink first, so he lets off the gas sometimes and plays defense. Nah, I don't think so. I think we're playing a little bit of 4D chess in our head. What if he does this because of this, because of that, because of that? I just think the Steelers live by a defensive-minded philosophy and a intentionally not bad offense, but I think the Steelers would rather be an offensive-minded team rather than an explosive. What am I saying? It's been a long day. I think the Steelers would rather be a defensive-minded team rather than hitting the gas, throwing up some elite offensive numbers, touchdowns, yards. That's just not them. That's not them. That's never been Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin loves defense. He loves playing it safe. He does not want to give the other team the football, and he wants to get the other team off the field as quick as possible. He plays conservative offense because what do the Steelers like to do? They like to run the ball, stop the run. What happens when you do that? You do it to a fault. That's what the Steelers have been doing. Letting off the gas, letting the other team catch up. That's why every game is a freaking nail biter. So I've listened to how Mike Tomlin talks his whole life. I've never known him to be a guy that wants to let off the gas. I've never known him to be a guy that intentionally tries to keep it one-score games. I've more so understood him as a guy who wants to protect the football, keep the ball away from the other team. How do you do that? You run the ball. You give up a lot of points. You punt on 4th and 1 when you statistically should go for it. That's why I think games have been so close. Guys, thank you for writing in. I look forward to talking to you guys on next week's video. If you want to help this show, if you want to help me financially, you want to help this show grow, become my full-time job, if you want to support my trip to Pittsburgh to go watch the NFL draft, you can go to patreon.com/Devin Engel, or you could hit the join button under this video, or go to join.herewegoshow.com. It's $1 a month. Once you become a member, let me know that you became a member. You show me love, I'll show you love. Guys, I hope you have a good one. Woo! I got a long drive home. I love you. I appreciate you. Y'all mean a lot to me. Drink some water. Have a good one. I am Jalen Warren, Feed Jalen Warren the freaking football. Without further ado, have a good one. I love y'all. Here we go.